What's up, Warriors Nation? Let's get into the thick of it. The offseason has been dry, the rumor mill's slow, but suddenly some pieces are moving, and those moves could reshape everything for Golden State. Today, we're focusing on what Josh Giddey's new contract does to the bargaining power of Jonathan Kuminga, and what it might mean for the Warriors' next steps. So here's the background. First, Cam Thomas of the Nets took the qualifying offer, betting on himself with a modest deal now so he can test free agency next summer. Then, Josh Giddey locked in a 4-year, $100 million deal with the Bulls, fully guaranteed, no team options. That kind of contract sets a benchmark for players in similar spots, players like Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga is still a restricted free agent. He has declined Golden State's 2-year, $45 million offer this offseason. That loud no has put the Warriors in limbo. They've missed out on free agency targets, waiting for clarity. But now, with Giddey's deal in the books, things shift a bit. Why does Giddey's deal matter to Kuminga and the Warriors? Because suddenly, there's a concrete example of what the market is offering. It gives Kuminga leverage, something to compare against. If someone else in his position is getting long-term security and big money, there's more pressure on the Warriors to match or make offers competitive, and that could get things unstuck. But, and this is crucial, there's also risk. If Kuminga is offered something similar to Giddey's deal, he could still decline, believing he can earn more by betting on himself. That's exactly what Thomas did. So Golden State has to decide, do they want to give in now or keep holding, hoping for a better deal down the road? Here's another piece of the puzzle. Giddey's deal not only gives Kuminga leverage, but it also affects free agency dynamics for next year. Because Giddey isn't going into the market again, one fewer RFA name crowns the space. That means fewer high-dollar competitors for Golden State if Kuminga ends up accepting the qualifying offer. It narrows the noise, and that clarity may push all sides toward a resolution. What's interesting is that this contract domino effect doesn't just impact Kuminga. It impacts the Warriors' entire offseason strategy. With so many moves still unresolved, they may need to adjust what they do next, which free agents they sign, which trades they consider, and how much risk they're willing to take. Because waiting too long can cost opportunities. For Golden State, the window with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green isn't infinite. Every season counts. So leveraging market benchmarks like Giddey's deal might be the very thing that pushes Kuminga back into the fold or forces the Warriors to pivot to preserve that window. Warriors Nation, now I want to hear from you. Do you think Kuminga will accept a contract like Giddey's, or will he keep pushing for more? Given Giddey's deal, should the Warriors be more aggressive now or stay patient until they get the right pieces? How much do you value market comparables, other players' contracts, in determining what Golden State offers? Hit that comment section with your takes. Smash like if you believe the Warriors can land a deal that unlocks this next run. Subscribe if you want every move, rumor, and calculation covered.
Warriors Nation, let's get real. It's not just the trade talk and contract disputes that matter. There's something deeper happening. Something in the attitudes of the core guys that could define this season. And none of that is more important than Steph Curry's mindset, which is still sharp, still hungry, and still centered on building something lasting. Steph recently gave us a window into how he's thinking. He released a photo-rich book called Shot Ready, reflecting on the lessons, the philosophies, and the mindset that have carried him this far. The title itself, Shot Ready, captures more than just being prepared to shoot a basketball. It's about staying ready mentally, physically, spiritually. It's about embracing every day like it's an opportunity. He said he still feels like he has a lot more to accomplish, both on and off the court. He's not looking for glory, he's looking for impact. Steph also shared that in his life after basketball, he doesn't plan to disappear. Whether that's mentoring, consulting, working in skill development, helping young players, or just giving back to the game that's given him so much, he wants to stay involved. That tells you that whenever the final whistle blows on his playing career, there's still more story ahead. And for Golden State, that's a huge piece of continuity. Now let's pull this back to Kuminga. With Josh Giddey's new 4-year, $100 million contract, the landscape shifts. For months, Kuminga has been weighing what he's worth, what he might receive, and whether Golden State's offer is enough. Giddey's deal now gives him something concrete, a benchmark of what the market is doing, what comparable players are getting. That, in turn, gives Kuminga more leverage. He now has more something to point at when deciding whether to accept or hold out. That doesn't mean it's a guarantee he signs something big. The risk is still there. Bet on himself. Keep working, hope for a bigger payday. But both sides, Kuminga and the Warriors, know there's a window here. Time doesn't stand still. Steph's still productive, still elite. Butler and Draymond are still delivering. But the years are finite. If the Warriors are going to chase another deep playoff run, they need clarity, and soon. Steph's comments reflect that urgency. He said numerous times he prefers to focus season by season, not get lost in expectations beyond his control. He doesn't want to be forced out by decline. He wants to finish strong on his own terms. Meanwhile, other veterans, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, echo that sentiment. The messages are aligned. Stay healthy, train smart, keep the baseline rising. So what does this mean for Golden State's strategy moving forward? First, resolve Kuminga's deal. Whether that means matching market comparables or negotiating terms that preserve value for both sides, the front office needs a decision. Second, the Warriors might lean toward players who share Curry's mindset: resilience, process, investment in growth and culture. Those are the folks who help hold the team together through the grind. Third, even as they pursue trades or free agents, Golden State should not lose sight of internal improvement. Moody, Podziemski, Jackson Davis, all of them could make strides this season if given trust and opportunity. This is the fine line Warriors have always walked, balancing star power and leadership with role players and depth. Curry's vision, combined with the market changes like Giddey's contract, forced the organization to choose: stand pat and risk stagnation, or take calculated moves to keep pushing the ceiling higher. Warriors Nation, now's your turn. Does Giddey's big contract make you think Kuminga must sign something similar? Or is waiting for the bigger breakout still a valid path? How much faith do you have in Curry's mindset leading the team into this final stretch? And what matters more for the next title run? Getting external reinforcements or letting the roster we have evolve and gel together? Hit the comments with your take. Like this video if you believe the Warriors are still built to win. Subscribe if you want every angle of this story covered. Chapter 3 is coming up next, where we'll look at potential trade targets, roster fit, and how Golden State could close this season's gap.
As we close this in-depth look at the Warriors' off-season narrative, it's time to focus on what could be the most defining factor for the 2025-26 campaign: trades. With the clock ticking and expectations rising, Golden State must prepare to make tough decisions. Decisions that could reshape their roster and championship chances. Let's start with the most obvious name on the table: Jonathan Kuminga. Despite his potential, athleticism, and flashes of star power, Kuminga's future with the Warriors remains uncertain. His refusal to accept the 2-year, $25 million offer already on the table suggests he's either looking for a bigger deal or an entirely new environment. And honestly, who could blame him? He fell out of Steve Kerr's rotation last season, and despite showcasing moments of brilliance, seems misaligned with the current direction of the team. With limited outside interest and Golden State unwilling to lower their asking price, Kuminga's best chance at proving himself might still be in the Bay Area, at least until the trade deadline. But should a trade happen, it must be for value, and there are 3 potential names to keep an eye on. Trey Murphy III is one of the most intriguing targets. The 6'8" Pelicans wing quietly blossomed last season into a high-volume scorer with elite shooting efficiency. Averaging over 21 points per game on nearly 60% true shooting, Murphy brings exactly what Golden State needs: floor spacing, off-ball movement, and defensive length. If there's any shot at landing him, the front office should make that call. However, prying him from New Orleans won't be easy. They value him, and rightfully so. It would likely take more than just Kuminga, but for the right trade package, he could be a game changer. Next up is Derek White. With Jason Tatum sidelined due to injury,
Boston may quietly shift toward a gap year. White is a proven two-way guard, arguably one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, and he'd fit beautifully next to Steph Curry. While Boston hasn't publicly shown interest in moving White, his age, 32 by next season, might prompt them to consider younger assets like Kuminga to extend their window. It's not a trade that comes easy, but one that makes a ton of sense for both teams. Lastly, there's Jarrett Allen, the big man out of Cleveland. Allen could be the answer to Golden State's long-standing interior struggles. Even if Al Horford is expected to come in on a short-term deal, Allen offers something the Warriors haven't had in years, a true rim protector with rebounding presence and size to battle the elite bigs of the West. If the Cavs underperform or decide to retool around Evan Mobley, Allen could be gettable before the 2026 trade deadline. Pairing him with Draymond Green up front would not only elevate the defense, it would give Golden State a completely different physical edge. Now let's bring it all together. The Warriors' strategy moving forward can't rely on one variable. They need flexibility and commitment. If Kuminga signs, you keep developing him. If he walks or takes the qualifying offer, you prepare to flip him. Either way, the team must act swiftly and smartly to support the core of Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green, players who still give you a legitimate shot when healthy and locked in. Don't overlook Moses Moody and Trey Jackson-Davis either. Moody had a breakout year, showing poise, shooting, and reliability in both starting and bench roles. And even though Trey saw fewer minutes last season, his rebounding and energy remain valuable, especially if a deal could turn him into a rotation-level asset elsewhere. Ultimately, this season is a crossroads for the franchise. Can they reload one more time with the veterans they have? Can they blend experience with youth while still maintaining a high level of competitiveness? It's on Mike Dunleavy Jr. in the front office now. The runway isn't long. And with Steph Curry entering what could be his final 2 seasons, the Warriors have no margin for error. Every move, every dollar spent, every rotation change, it all has to be about maximizing this window. Warriors Nation, now I turn to you. If you had to trade Kuminga, which of these players, Murphy, White, or Allen, would you want in return? Should the Warriors go all in with a trade, or stay patient and let this roster develop with internal growth? And what kind of identity do you want this team to carry heading into the future? Youthful and energetic, or veteran and battle-tested? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video if you're confident the Warriors still have one more title run in them. And subscribe to Warriors Nation News to stay on top of every move, rumor, and highlight coming out of the Bay. Until next time, this is Warriors Nation News, where the dynasty never dies. It just reloads.